Thank you for having me here today. My name is Shelly Coleman-Martins. I currently serve at Wichita State University as the Vice President for Strategic Communications and Marketing. Well, I love this question. It really prompted me to go back and reflect since the early days of March. And the best way I can answer this, I think, is everything changed. It just felt like everything we were doing just had to flip. And also, as I look back and reflect, I could also say at a really high level, nothing in marketing has changed. So if you look at marketing frameworks and the enrollment cycle of higher education, we still are going to follow our enrollment cycle. The semester calendar did not change. So that means we need to recruit, retain, and communicate at certain times during the year. And that didn't change. What did change is how we execute that marketing strategy. And that's where everything changed. So if you really look at the operational side of it, or the execution, the tactical side of marketing, that is where everything that used to work for you, you need to throw that playbook out, and you had to write a new one as you were executing the playbook. So reflecting on it, that's my best answer. As marketers, or my opinion of marketers, we don't stop. So you have to take no off the table, or you have to take the idea of staying in one place off the table. And it might be shocking. It certainly felt shocking in March when we just had to pivot, felt like on a dime. But once you breathe that in and embrace your reality and think, well, we have to keep moving forward, you might need to start with safety measures. So we did a lot of safety communication. How do we feel? How do we make sure that our current students, our prospective students, parents, all feel like Wichita State has their safety as a priority? So lots of communication went out. It felt like we redid the entire website overnight. We did FAQs and tried to think of user experience, and we adopted more of a something's better than nothing. So make sure the answer is on the website. We'll go back and organize it tomorrow. We were just prioritizing in a triage type manner. Then we had to go back and think, okay, what's the next step? Let's keep optimizing. And then as soon as we could take a breath, it did feel like, all right, now the phase is changed and it's time to go look at the website again. So constant communication and constant communication updates. So there was no trust erosion on the website. We wanted everyone to feel that they could always go to our website and trust strategic communications at Wichita State to have the most accurate information. And I'm sure we faltered, and we will falter. It's I think we ended every sentence with, this is a fluid situation. And there was a lot of reminding each other to have grace during this. Remember, our intent is in the right place, and don't assume we know the right answer. If you're seeing us do something that could be better, we certainly welcome that feedback. And there's just constant communication. From a high level perspective, once we did the triage of the website and making sure everyone understood operationally what we were going to do in March, we then had to look at, okay, we're going to have to live with the virus, coexist with the virus for quite a while. So this isn't what you might practice for in typical issue management or crisis communication, where you might have a spike and then it comes down. This is going to be a sustained issue management. So it is going to change operationally everything you do for an indefinite amount of time. And we put together as leaders task forces for the entire university. I think there were 5, and one of them was communications. And it's just important to remember, communication is the lifeblood of any organization. on a normal day. And when you get into a crisis and a sustained crisis or issue management zone, communication and constant connection with each other it's just vital. And we couldn't do it by ourselves. So really reaching out and reminding supervisors that you're part of the communication family. Your direct reports need that connection with you. They're going to trust that message, and it will be personalized if they hear that from you. So even if we say something at a high level in organizational communication, if you could reiterate that message to your team through your channels, that's another chance to connect with your team or your stakeholders, your community, and also hearing a message more than one time through someone you trust and interact with is just going to resonate and have more impact. So there was a lot of welcoming all sorts into the strategic communication family. And that wasn't just for our internal Shocker Nation family. We support community. We support industry. So any stakeholder that we have that was close to us, we wanted to make sure they understood safety is a priority. So is innovating and moving forward. Getting the economy back on its feet is always top of mind, right along with educating future shockers and creating the workforce. I thought this was an interesting question also because of the word survive. That certainly just sort of felt like the mantra at the beginning was, let's just survive the next 5 minutes. Let's keep going. And then now survive is more of a sustainability theme as we move forward and even looking into next year. Budget's going to be difficult as we move forward. So we're already thinking now of what can we do now to have a brighter day tomorrow. So the word survive, I just thought you really nailed it with this question, because in marketing, at least during COVID, that's got to really help you prioritize your strategy and tactic. To survive at WSU, the brand, one thing we're looking at right now, we had just done this huge perception study last year. In fact, we're on a 3-year rolling perception study. And we start with more the local Shocker Nation, Sedgwick County as an emphasis. And we wrapped up surveys and focus groups right before COVID hit. So we kept going. But looking back now, I really feel that we need to put all that perception work on a shelf and know that that work probably is not something I can go back and lean on as we develop messages in the next year. So we're doing another round of perception, and this should be very insightful as we move forward through COVID. And COVID is not our only challenge we've had this year. As we said, there's COVID layered on top of our normal marketing cycle, and we're humans and we have challenges and successes every day. So storytelling has never stopped. So we need to do new perception studies to make sure we do understand our reality and we're not giving ourselves some false information as we move forward. So that is part of our survival, and just not being in denial about where we are. Our COVID landscape is changing at warp speed. So where we could do a year-long study and lean on that for a year or two before, I don't think we're going to be able to do that for a while. For innovation, this has been, I really think, pretty exciting at WSU. Again, I feel like, all right, once this hit and we had to breathe it in and absorb, this is our reality. We're these shockers with this spark of spirit that says, all right, well, we're not going to just stop. Let's think about, how do we continue serving our community? How do we continue serving students? We are not going to stop our mission. It's just that how we do that has got to look different. And you can tell that actually invigorated and empowered shockers. And we came together and we're moving, and we just stood up the molecular diagnostics laboratory. I'm not sure without COVID that would have been on our landscape. So innovation is definitely part of our DNA. One of our realities we have to be aware of for growth is our market is shrinking. So if you look at college-ready students in the state of Kansas, that market pool is declining. That's something that's been a trend for a while. So it's just part of our reality, which led to we need to look beyond the state of Kansas so we can continue to survive and sustain as we move forward and grow the local economy. And that is where we came up with the I-35 corridor strategy. And that the idea there is we look beyond our state borders and travel up to Kansas City and down through Oklahoma and Texas, and offer in-state tuition rates to some that live on I-35 corridor. So that's our growth strategy as we move forward, and it remains during COVID. So it's just, again, the marketing strategy has not changed, but how we execute that. We've actually leaned more on the I-35 corridor strategy because we had to do more digital as you grow that market size, and it's harder for prospective students to visit campus, or international students. You want to have online virtual tours, make sure your website is ready to go. You've got other digital forms of communication that can help nurture that enrollment relationship. So actually learning from that and pulling that into more of our enrollment strategy was important. We do, as most marketers do, we want to pilot or experiment with something every year. And usually the areas we experiment or pilot would be in some kind of technology platform. So thank goodness we did have some pilot programs that were already in place, more of a opportunity area that actually have become a critical platform as we move forward. So yes, you're absolutely right, Paige. Well, this goes back to everything has changed and nothing has changed. Our top level metrics have not changed. We continue to look at 4 major revenue streams, because that's really how our stakeholders at the end of the day vote. Vote for, are we doing the right things for the right reasons at the right time? So that would be our donations continuing. Are we continuing to get taxpayer funding through our state or federal channels? Are research grants and industry grants still coming in to the university? And then how is enrollment looking? Is our tuition continuing? So those at a really high level, that would be the main metrics. And then, like everyone else, we have all sorts of layers of KPIs or key performance indicators, and those have shifted during COVID. So we know safety messages are working. Maybe student life was more important before COVID, and now we're seeing more, how are you going to keep my prospective students safe? Or students want to know, how do I keep having not only a great academic career, but how do I have a social experience at Shocker Nation in a safe environment? So those safety messages we know are indicators of how we move forward, and also continuing our efforts to grow the economy or sustain workforce, and then collaborate with our other city and government officials. Just constant communication and making sure that we're all in lockstep. Those are all indicators and important opportunities that we are watching and making sure we're doing correctly in order to sustain our overall measures. advice would be, remember that you're in marketing. So find your spirit, keep moving forward, and go back to your marketing framework. Yes, your execution of that may change, but go back and lean on your principles. Make sure you're still listening to the market. If you have an offering that only makes sense in a non-COVID area, is it time to rethink your offering? Think about the market, keep them involved in your development process, communicate clearly, and just remember your marketing spirit and keep moving forward.